Well, shalom, everyone, and welcome to our Shabbat night lesson 34, titled Bamidbar, Bamidbar, Bamidbar. We're going to have an exciting time. Thank you for joining me tonight on our journey to get through the Torah in 1 year. It's a great time, and we are excited about all that the Ruach HaKodesh will reveal to us on tonight. So, welcome to our lesson. We're going to let the music play a little bit, and then we're going to get started on our lesson 34 on tonight. So, shalom, and we wish you well. So let's listen to the music for a moment, calm down, since most of us are used to getting together at 7 rather than 6 o'clock Eastern time. You just take a minute, gather ourselves, and get ready for an exciting time in the study of the Word of God. So, let's spend a moment listening, and then we're going to get started. All right, so with that, let me stop my music and get ready for our class. I will leave my phone on to make certain that in case someone has a little difficulty, perhaps we can work on it. We will see. So, again, shalom. Welcome to our night's lesson 34. So, first we're going to have prayer, and then after our prayer, we will have communion, and then after that, we will get into our lesson for tonight. Jehovah, our Elohim, we bless you for this day. This is the day that you have made. We rejoice. We are glad in it. We thank you for each and every opportunity you provide for us, that we can come together and study your word, study to show ourselves approved, workmen not ashamed of our hire, rightly dividing the words of truth. So we thank you for the Ruach HaKodesh, your Holy Spirit, that comes to guide us on this journey, opening our hearts and our minds to receive all that you will reveal to us tonight through your word. In the name of Yeshua, HaMashiach, our Lord, Savior, and King, we pray. And we say, Amen. All right, with that, we know that in the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11, verses 25 through 32, Shaul told the church at Corinth something that he had gotten directly from Yeshua, Messiah, after his departure, his death and resurrection, and his departure. He met Paul on the Damascus Road. and from that point on, Shaul was the messenger to the Gentiles, and also he spoke many words of wisdom for the Hebrew people. He told us on the night before the death of Yeshua that he had his disciples come together for a meal. And at that meal, he took bread. And we have something that we use as a symbol for bread. And it's here. And he took that bread and he passed it around, told everyone to break a piece. It would be round like a pizza loaf. Told everyone to take a piece. First, he blessed the Father for the bread. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech Shalom lehim min haaretz. Blessed are you, Jehovah our Elohim, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And he told them to take and eat, for this is a symbol of my body that will be broken just for you. Do this often, always in remembrance of me. And so they ate. Then he took a cup of wine. He blessed the Father for the wine. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech ha'alom bari hagafen. Blessed are you, Jehovah our Elohim, King of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And he told them to drink, each one to drink of this, for this is a symbol of my blood that is shed for the remission of your sins and for a new covenant relationship with me. Do this often, always in remembrance of me. And so we drink. And so with that, that's not one of my class members, so we don't get rid of that. So we have done that now, so let's get to our shared screen. Shaul said, as often as you come together in the name of Yeshua, do this. And so we have done it. This is always an exciting time for me because I never know what's going to happen. All right. So with that, we're going to get to our slideshow presentation. So we are in lesson 34, titled Bamidbar, and it means in the desert. Now, there's so many verses in here concerning numbers that rather than call it Bamidbar, which it was called in Hebrew, or something about being in the desert, they chose numbers because there are so many numbers, especially in the beginning. However, to get the full measure of what is going on, Bamidbar speaks of the essence of what we are about to endeavor to deal with in our study that will completely get through this particular book. So it is much more in line with that than it is with numbers, because we have kind of mistakenly, because of that, people don't study this book, which is so valuable, as a study in the Torah. Basically, we remember that in Genesis, Jehovah, the creator of all things, established man and put him in the garden which was so magnificently beautiful, so green and lush. And all man had to do was be obedient. And as long as he was obedient, he was free to live at peace with both nature and animals and understand the magnificence of the creation of Jehovah, our creator. However, man sinned and was then removed from the garden, and all of the lushness of that paradise, and told that the road back to that was going to be difficult because he had chosen to be disobedient rather than obedient. So now we find man being taken out of the slavery of Egypt. Now he's in the desert where basically nothing grows. Water itself is even scarce. Excuse me. And most animals that are there are kind of poisonous. So man had chosen the path of disobedience. So Bamidbar reminds us of a higher self, that each one of us has an opportunity to develop and listen, because there's not a whole lot to do in the desert. However, in the garden, man was naming animals. He was doing whatever he could command, whatever he had permission, because the management of was given to him, given to us. And now we come to the antithesis of that, which is life in the desert. But even in that, Jehovah shows us his great love. For even in Genesis, he promised someone would come and return us back to him, demonstrating that even though we had messed up, it didn't stop him from loving us, but the path we have chosen was one filled with poison and difficulty. However, even in this, he takes us to Mount Sinai, where he then reunites us as we hear his voice, just like Adam did in the garden. We hear his voice and we are brought to that place to where he says, this is what I expect of you. Now do it. And then he's just gone through in the book of Leviticus telling us the value of what? Obedience and the pitfalls of disobedience. So now they're getting ready to journey on from Mount Sinai and go to the land for which he had promised them, a land flowing with milk and honey. But even that is dependent upon obedience. So we get a new opportunity to go forth and be obedient to all that the Creator has given us to do. So in our lesson in Bamidbar, we're going to find that we have the perfect opportunity to study, to focus on the things of Jehovah and the guidance that the Torah gives us into our return back to the Father. So with that, we're going to start with our Haftarah, which is in the book of Hosea. Hosea chapter 2, verses 1 through 22. So we see in our first, we're going to see later in the third chapter of Bamidbar, we're going to see the organization, which we've been looking at for a while as our slide, we're going to see the organization before they were to move forth, how Jehovah organized and structured them and gave them the confidence to what? Be obedient. Just be obedient and watch and see what I will do. Well, we're going to see as we start our journey and we remember what Jehovah has done for each and every one of us through his son, Yeshua, and the fact that Yeshua says, if you love me, obey me. Once again, given the choice of following or not following. So with that, let's get to our Haftarah, which is Hosea chapter 2, verses 1 through 22. Yet the number of Bnei Israel will be like the sand of the sea. Hosea was a prophet, but Hosea was told to go and marry this prostitute to demonstrate to Israel how much they had turned from him, who had been so good to them. He had turned from them and desired the ways of the world. And the penalty that was, was about to come about because of, because of their disobedience. He said, which cannot be measured or counted. Instead of, you are not my people, being said to them. They will be called children of the living God. So Hosea and his wife, who was a prostitute, had children. And each one of the children that they had was given a name. And all of this was to be emblematic of what the nation of Israel had done, in fact, on disobeying and turning away from the creator of the universe. Just like Adam, now this people were doing the same thing. And then she would run away. She would have the child, leave the prophet, and go and fornicate. And then God would tell him, now go get her and bring her back. And he would bring her back. She would be cool for a minute. Then they would have another child. That child will be symptomatic of, once again, how disobedient Israel had become. He goes on to say, then the descendants of Judah and the descendants of Israel, remember the Israel had been divided up into 10 tribes in the north called Israel, and 2 tribes in the south called Judah, which is where the temple was. He goes on to say, the descendants of Israel will be gathered together. They will appoint themselves one head. He said, now you're going to mess up and you're going to do all of that. But just like in the garden with Adam, Jehovah promises them that he's not going to completely abandon them, just like this woman that would continually have a child with the prophet, then run away, go back into prostitution, and he would then go back and get her, bring her home, clean her up, and love her in spite of that. He goes on, and they will go up from the land, for the day of Jezreel will be great. Say to your brothers, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruamah, contend with your mother, contend, for she is not my wife, nor I her husband. Let her put away her fornications from her face, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Now he's referring to this wife, of course, is the nation of Israel, which through disobedience has been divided into a northern kingdom and a southern kingdom. And the prophet is going to the north and telling them, this is what's going to happen to you. And he said also the southern kingdom are going to commit the same atrocities. So all of these are warnings of what's to come for disobedience. Verse 5, or else I will strip her naked and expose her as on the day she was born. Then I will make her like a wilderness. Yes, I will make her like desert land. Talking once again about the nation, and I will let her die of thirst. I will have no compassion for her children, for they are children of prostitution. So God is telling the prophet to tell the nation of Israel, this is what you've done. This is what you have done. You are prostituting after other false deities, even though I have demonstrated my love and my concern for you. You refuse to obey. As we go on, verse 7. For their mother, talking to the children of Israel, and this is the nation of Israel, has practiced prostitution. She who conceived them has been shameful, for she said, let me go after my lovers. This is exactly what the wife of the prophet Hosea continued to do. He would clean her up, show her how much he loved her, and she would leave him and the child and the children and go back and do the very same thing. This is what Israel was continually doing with the disobedience against what Jehovah had explained to them they should do. Even though he cared for them, he took care of them. They would pray and he would say, okay, do this, now do it right. And each time they would do the same thing that this prostitute would do and go back to their false deities. Therefore, see, I will hedge her in with thorns, and I will build a wall around her so she cannot find her path. Then she will chase after her lovers, but she will not overtake them. She will seek them, but not find. Then she will say, let me go and return to my first husband, for it was better for me then than now. But she did not realize that I myself gave her the grain, the wine, and the fresh oil. So in causing her to flourish, Jehovah says, I caused you to flourish, and you use that as an excuse to deny me. I lavished on her silver, also gold, which they made into Baal or idols. Therefore, I will return and take back my grain in its season, which is basically what had happened to the children of Israel. They had been taken into captivity, and now they were in the wilderness. And my new wine at its appointed time. And I will snatch away my wool and my linen for covering her nakedness. For now I will uncover her lewdness to the eyes of her lovers. So everyone was able to see see them walk away almost naked and be led into Syria. So now he goes on to say, I will also put an end to all her rejoicing, her feast, her new moon. You're going to forget all of those things. You don't honor the Sabbath, and all her moedim. In other words, everything that I taught you, you refuse to do. You keep going for the ways of the world. I will also devastate her vines and her fig tree, of which she said, these are my payment that my lovers have given to me. So you're going and praising Baal, something you made out of the gold that was provided for you from the Creator. You have taken that and made an idol, and you choose to worship the idol, even though you know it is nothing. You are doing what? We learned that you are messing up and defaming the name of the Creator who called you his own special treasure. He says, but I will turn them into a thicket, and beasts of the field will devour them. As we conclude with this prophecy, then I will punish her, verse 15, for the days of Balaam, to whom she would burn incense, adorning herself with her rings and jewelry, going after her lovers. But me, she forgot. It is a declaration of Jehovah. So he says, now this is what's going to happen. Why? Because of all the disobedience that you continue to show me, no matter how much I show you, how much I love you. So then, he said, verse 16, I myself will entice her. I will bring her into the wilderness and speak to her heart. I will give her back her vineyards from there and make the valley of Ahor a door of hope. She will respond there as in the days of her youth, as in the day she came up out of the land of Egypt. In that day, it is a declaration of Jehovah, you will proclaim my husband and never again call me my Baal. This is when Messiah returns. Then I will remove the names of the Balaam out of her mouth, no longer to be mentioned by their name. In that day I will make a covenant for them with the beasts of the field, the flying creatures of the sky, and the creeping things on the ground. This is going back just like it was in the Garden of Eden. I will break into pieces the bow and the sword and warfare from the land, and I will cause them to lie down securely. Then I will betroth you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you to me with righteousness, justice, covenant loyalty, and compassion. All the things never had the Hebrew people followed through and done. All right, make sure you mute yourself. I see you've come on, Alifu. Make sure you mute yourself. I will break into pieces the bow and the sword and warfare from the land, and I will cause them to lie down securely. In Revelations, it talks about how the lion is going to lie down with the lamb and all those things. Arrows and swords will be turned into plowshares. They will be used for the land. He says, then I will betroth you to me forever. Yes, I will betroth you to me with righteousness, justice, covenant, loyalty, and compassion. I will betroth you to me with faithfulness, and you will know Jehovah. So when Yeshua comes back, there's going to be this period, of course, where he's going to teach Torah for 1,000 years and give us one more opportunity to be obedient. And there will still be those who will turn their backs, but this time they will be cast into the lake of fire forever. And so this whole prophecy of Hosea, as you read, start with chapter 1 and read what was going on with the prophet and what he was told to do, then it'll give you a better understanding of what transpired later as we read the book of Kings, First and Second Kings, First and Second Chronicles, First and Second Samuel. As you read those, you'll have a better understanding of why Torah study is so necessary and why Yeshua, the living Torah, came to demonstrate Torah obedience and love. For he was without sin, who knew no sin. Yet he, through love, became sin that he might reconcile us back to the Father. And so this prophet, this is such a great lesson, and we could spend the whole time just doing that lesson, but we're going to try to push on. Let's go to Haftarah of the Brit Hadashah of the New Testament, which we see in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 through 20. For just as the body is one, but has many parts, and all the parts of the body, though many, constitute one body, so it is with the Messiah. For it was by one Spirit that we were all immersed into one body, whether Jews or Gentiles, slaves or free, and we were all given the one Spirit to drink. For indeed, the body is not one part, but many. So we'll see that in our lesson tonight, once again, as we go around the gathering around the tabernacle, with the center of everything being the Shekinah glory of the creator of the universe. For indeed, verse 14 says, the body is not one part, but many. If the foot says, I am not a hand, so I'm not part of the body, that doesn't make it stop being part of the body. And if the ear says, I'm not an eye, so I am not part of the body, that doesn't make it stop being part of the body. If the whole body were an eye, how could it hear? If it were all hearing, how could it smell? But as it is, God arranged each of the parts in the body exactly as he wanted them. Now, if they were all just one part, where would the body be? But as it is, there are indeed many parts, yet just one body. So the whole concept of the unification of the children of Israel is what our lesson for today is going to demonstrate. It's going to demonstrate that as we see all of the tribes of Israel gathered around the tabernacle with the Creator as the center, and as they get ready to move out toward the promised land, is this great opportunity to understand and function as they were supposed to function. And so we're going to have a great time as we start our lesson tonight, even though we're going to be dealing primarily with numbers. The whole concept of in the wilderness means so much more. So Bamidbar means a great deal more than just counting. It means the seriousness of the counting, because the census was designed to do the very same thing, to show them how many fighting men there were and how all together they would do what? One common goal: obedience and travel to the promised land. And as you do that, everyone around you will begin to recognize what and how powerful this movement of people is supposed to be. And that's the way it's supposed to be with us as members of the body of Yeshua, along with those messianic believers that also believe in Yeshua as Messiah. With that, let's get to the first part of our session, which is going to start with the whole concept of Bamidbar, or in the desert, in this unification sense of now we're going to do this counting. Jehovah spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert. This is Numbers chapter 1, verse 1, and we're going to go all the way through verse 19. So there will be 2 slides for the first part of our session. Jehovah spoke to Moshe in the Sinai desert in the tent of meeting on the first day of the 2nd month of the 2nd year. So now they've already celebrated Pesach, or Passover, which is in the 14th day of the 1st month. They've already done that. Now they're in the 2nd month. So he tells him in that 2nd month, after they had left the land of Egypt, he said, take a census, or do a count of the entire assembly of the people of Israel by clans and families. Record the names of all the men 20 years old and over who are subject to military service in Israel. You and Aharon are to enumerate them company by company. Take with you from each tribe someone who is the head of a clan. These are the men to take with you. So now Jehovah doesn't just tell them to go pick the men. He tells them what men to take. So he's showing you that he is instrumental in everything that's getting ready to take place. He said, from Reuben, Eleazar, the son of Shador. From Simeon, Shamuel, the son of Jurishadi. From Yehuda, Nashon, the son of Aminadab. From Issachar, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar. From Zebulun, Eliab, the son of Helon. Of the children of Joseph, from Ephraim, Elimasha, Elishama, the son of Amihud. From Manasseh, Gamaliel, the son of Pazur. From Benjamin, Avidan, the son of Gedoni. From Dan, Ahiezer, the son of Amishadai. From Asher, Pagael, the son of Okran. From Gad, Eliasaph, the son of Deuel. From Naphtali, Ahira, the son of Enan. And as we complete this, these are the ones called from the assembly, the chiefs of their father's clan and heads of thousands in Israel. So Moshe and Aaron took these men who had been designated by name, and on the first day of the second month, they gathered the whole assembly to state their genealogies by families and clans and recorded the names of all those 20 years old and over, as well as their total numbers. Moshe counted them in the Sinai desert, just as Jehovah had ordered him. So in the first part, we see them gather these leaders that Jehovah himself told them to go pick, and take these leaders and have each one of them count those men 20 and over. So from there, you're going to be able to get a better understanding of everyone, even though the most important ones are these men 20 and over, who are the ones that are going to lead these different tribes as they journey towards the promised land. In the second part of our session, we began to get the results of this count. The men 20 years old and over who were subject to military service were recorded by name, family, and clan, starting with the descendants of Reuben, Israel, or Yaakov's firstborn. These are the total. The descendants of Reuben, 46,500. The descendants of Simeon, 59,300. Descendants of Gad, 45,650. Descendants of Yehuda, 74,600. Descendants of Issachar, 54,400. Descendants of Zebulun, 57,400. Descendants of Ephraim. Remember, Joseph was told that his two sons, were in fact going to be as adopted by Yaakov as his sons. So this is why they were counted, and you don't see anything about Joseph there, but you see that these were his two sons. The descendants of Manasseh, 32,200. Descendants of Benjamin, 35,200. Descendants of Dan, 62,700. Descendants of Asher, 41,500. Descendants of Naphtali, 53,400. So these are all of the fighting men that were from the age of 20 to 60. As we complete the second part of our session, Moshe, Aaron, and the 12 leaders of Israel, each from his clan, counted the people of Israel by their clan, those 20 years old and over, eligible for military service in Israel. And the grand total came to 603,550. But those who were Levites, according to the clan of their fathers, were not counted in this census, because Jehovah had told Moshe, do not include the clan of Levi or the tribe of Levi when you take the census of the people of Israel. Instead, give the Levites charge over the tabernacle of the testimony, its equipment, and everything else connected to it. They were to carry the tabernacle and all its equipment, serve in it, and set up their camp around it. When the tabernacle is to be moved onward, it is the Levites who are to take it down and set it up in the new location. Anyone else who involves himself is to be put to death. The rest of Israel are to set up camp, company by company, each man with his own banner. But the Levites are to camp around the tabernacle of the testimony so that no anger will come upon the assembly of the people of Israel. The Levites, or the Leviim, are to be in charge of the tabernacle of the testimony. This is what the people of Israel did. They did everything that Jehovah had ordered Moshe. So then, when we looked at that first slide, and I'll go back to it right quick. I might not be able to go back. But we see then that around the tabernacle, immediately around the tabernacle, adjacent to it, were the Levites. They were responsible for making sure nobody did anything foolish around the tabernacle. Don't try to come over the fence. Don't try to play. Don't do any. This is holy ground. So leave that to the Levites who are in charge of it. And now, by taking the leaders, he's putting them in responsible for making sure that everybody follows the dictate that Moshe had indicated that Jehovah had reminded them that they were supposed to do. Now we're going to get ready to go into the third part of our session. Then he's going to set up the formation around the tabernacle. As he said, Jehovah said to Moshe and Aaron, the people of Israel are to set up camp by clans, each man with his own banner and under his clan symbol. They are to camp around the tent of meeting, but at a distance. Those camping on the east side toward the sunrise are to be under the banner of the camp of Yehudah. So on the east side, which is where the entrance to the tabernacle was, then you were going to have first the Levites, then on the other side of the Levites would be the camp of Judah. They are to camp according to companies by tribe and leader that are as follows. This group is to set out first. So when it's time to move, the first tribe that's going to move out, the Levites will blow the trumpet, signifying time to go. The first tribe that's going to move out will be the tribe of Judah. Those camping, this group is set out first. So behind Judah will be the three tribes that are to follow with Judah. Then he says those camping on the south are to be under the banner of the camp of Reuben. They are to camp according to the company. So if you're looking at it from the east, the south would be to your left hand, and that would be under the banner of Reuben. And what do you have there? You have Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. Those three are on the south side. All right. So then we have them, a total of 151,450. Then he said this group is to set, that group, the group that sets out first is under the banner. Oh, I see what I did. I copied the wrong thing. So it should have been Judah and those that followed Judah, which I believe was Zebulun, but we'll get back to it and I'll get that number right. So now on the south side is Reuben, Simeon, Gad, a total of 151,000. They camp once again on the other side of the Levites, and they're going to be the second group to move out. First group will be led by Judah. Second group of the three will be led by Reuben. Then he says, after that, the tent of meeting with the camp of the Levites will set out, with the other camps in front and behind. So you're going to have the east and the south. Those two groups were set out first, followed by the Levites with all of the furnishings of the tabernacle, with the other camps in front and behind. They will go in the same order as the camps are set up. Each man will go forward in his position under his banner. Those camping to the west, now the west would be directly opposite the entrance, and he says, are the camp of Ephraim. So you have Ephraim, Manasseh, Benjamin, they are to the west. Then you have a total of 108,100. The fighting men. All right. Then we're going to go to the north, which would be directly to the right as you're looking toward the tabernacle. Then he says those will be under the camp of Dan. You have Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. So then you have a total of 157,600. This group will set out last with their banners. These are the ones counted from the people of Israel by clans. The total number recorded in the camps, company by company, was 603,550. But as Jehovah ordered Moshe, the Levites were not counted with the rest of Israel. The people of Israel did everything Jehovah had ordered Moshe. They set up camp under their banners and they set out, each according to his family and clan. So now Jehovah has got the whole community, all of Israel, because you'll have the camp of the first camp set out with those three tribes. Then you'll have the rest of the people behind that. Then you'll have the next three tribes from the south. Then you'll have the tribe from the west. And then you'll have followed, the last camp is Dan, Asher, and Naphtali. And there's 157,000 fighting men in that grouping. And this is how you're going to organize and leave from Mount Sinai going to the promised land. So with that, we have completed the third part of our session. Now we're going to get into the counting of the Levites, which begins in the fourth part of our session. These are the descendants of Aharon and Moshe as of the day when Jehovah spoke to Moshe on Mount Sinai. The names of the sons of Aharon are Nadab, firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These were the names of the sons of Aharon the priest, Kohen, whom he anointed and ordained as Kohanim. But Nadab and Abihu died in the presence of Jehovah or Adonai when they offered unauthorized fire before Adonai in the Sinai desert, and they had no children. Eleazar and Ithamar served as Kohanim in the presence of Aharon their father. So, right at the entrance, you have first the priest. All Levites are not priests, but all priests must be Levites. And so you had that family on the east side, making sure they are a buffer between the tabernacle and the people. He says some of the tribes of Levi and assigned them to Aharon the priest so that they can help him. They are to carry out their duties and the duties of the whole community before the tent of meeting and performing the service of the tabernacle. They are to be in charge of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting and to carry out all the duties of the people of Israel connected with the service of the tabernacle. Assign the Levites to Aharon and his sons. Their one responsibility in regard to the people of Israel is to serve him. You are to appoint Aharon and his sons to carry out the duties of priests. Anyone else who involves himself is to be put to death. Jehovah said to Moshe, I have taken the Levites from among the people of Israel in lieu of every firstborn male, that is first from the womb among the people of Israel. The Levites are to be mine. All the firstborn males belong to me, because on the day that I killed all the firstborn males in the land of Egypt, I separated for myself all the firstborn males in Israel, both human and animal. They are mine. I am Jehovah. We studied that back in the book of Leviticus, how the firstborn male belongs to Jehovah, but they have to be redeemed back by the 5 shekels. Christ, we talked about how Yeshua, being the firstborn male in the family of Miriam and Joseph, then was redeemed at the tabernacle on the day 40. And that's when they were prophesied to by the 2 priests that were there in uh, the temple at that time. So we go on to the 5th part of our session is, as he's counting them, he's going to explain, as he divided these tribes up, he's going to divide them up and give them their responsibility. Jehovah said to Moshe in the Sinai desert, take a census of the tribe of Levi by clans and families. Count every male a month old or over. They say a month because they would believe that after 30 days, there was such a many babies that were born might not make it between the 1st and 30th day. After 30 days, they usually would live out their lives. So they would start counting them after a month. Moshe counted them in the manner Jehovah had said as he had ordered. The names of the sons of Levi were Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. These are the 3 tribes under the Levites. The names of the sons of Gershon were Livni and Shimi. They fathered their respective clans. Likewise, the sons of Kahat, Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel, and the sons of Merari, Mahili, and Mushi. These fathered the clans of the Levites. Gershon fathered the clans of Livni and Shimini. These were the Gershon clans. Of them, 7,500 males a month old and over were counted. The Gershon clans were to camp behind the tabernacle toward the west. Right? So in the west side, Aaron and his family and Moshe and their families took care of the east. Opposite them on the west were the Gershon clan. The chief of the Gershon clan was Elisab, the son of Lael. In connection with the tent of meeting, the descendants of Gershon were to be in charge of the following: tabernacle itself, its inner and outer coverings, the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the curtain surrounding the courtyard, the screen for the entrance of the courtyard surrounding the tabernacle and the altar, all the fixtures and ropes for these items and their maintenance. Kahat, then that's for the Gershon clan. Kahat fathered the clans of Amram, Yitzhar, Hebron, and Uziel. These were the Kahat clans. Of them, 8,600 males a month old or over were counted. They were in charge of the holy place. The Kahat clans were to camp next to the tabernacle toward the south. Remember, that would be to the left, looking at it from the east. The chief of the Kahat clan was Elzaphan, the son of Uziel. They were responsible for the ark, the table, the menorah, the altars, utensils, the Kohanim or the priests use when they serve in the holy place, the curtain and everything involved with the maintenance of these things. Eleazar, the son of Aharon, the priest, was first among the chiefs of the Levites and supervised those in charge of the holy place. Merari fathered the clans of Mahili and Mushi. These were the Merari clans. Of them, 6,200 males a month old and over were counted. The chief of the Merari clans was Zuriel, the son of Hayel. These were to camp next to the tabernacle toward the north. The Merari clans were assigned responsibility for the frames, among its crossbars, posts, sockets, and fittings together with their maintenance. Also the posts of the surrounding courtyard with their sockets, pegs, and ropes. These who were to camp in front of the tabernacle on the east, in front of the tent of meeting toward the sunrise, were Moshe, Aharon, and his sons, who were in charge of the holy place. They carried out their responsibility on behalf of the people of Israel and anyone else who involved himself was to be put to death. The number of Levites whom Moshe and Aaron counted by their clans, all the males a month old and over, was 22,000. Sixth part of our session, Jehovah says to Moshe, register all the firstborn males of the people of Israel a month old and over from the Levites, how many they are. Then you ought to take the Levites for me, Jehovah, in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle of Levites in place of the firstborn of the cattle belonging to the children of Israel. So all the firstborn that were brought to the tabernacle belonged to the Levites. Moshe counted, as Jehovah had ordered him, all the firstborn among the people of Israel. The total number of the firstborn males registered a month old and over of those who were counted was 22,273. There was only 22,000 firstborn males, but there were 22,273 firstborn males of all the tribes, the 12 tribes. Jehovah said to Moshe, take the Leviim in place of all the firstborn among the people of Israel, and the cattle of the Leviim in place of their cattle. The Levites ought to belong to me, Jehovah. Since there were 273 more firstborn males from Israel than male Levites, in order to redeem them, you ought to take 5 shekels for each of these. Use the sanctuary shekel, which is equal to 20 ger. Give the redemption money for these extra people to Aharon and his sons. All of the money gathered from the firstborn, whenever there was a census, belonged to the Levites. Moshe took the redemption money for many of those were over and above those redeemed by the Levite. The amount of money he took from the firstborn of the people of Israel was 1,365 shekels, using the sanctuary shekel. Moshe gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, with keeping with what Jehovah had said, as Jehovah had ordered. Now we're going into the 7th part of our session, where he is going to talk about now those who were given more hardy tasks were going to be those of a particular age. Jehovah said to Moshe and Aharon, take a census of the descendants of Kahat, who were among the descendants of Levi by clans and families, all those from 30 to 50 years old. These will enter the Corps doing the work in the tent of meeting. So they're going to dismantle everything. Here is how the descendants of Kahat are to serve in the tent of meeting and deal with the especially holy things. When the time comes to break camp, Aharon is to go in with his sons, take down the curtain which serves as a screen, and cover the ark of the testimony with it. On that, they are to place a covering of fine leather, and on top of that, spread out an all blue cloth. Then they are to insert the carrying poles. On the table of showbread, they are to spread a blue cloth and place on it the dishes, utensils, pans, offering bowls, and pitchers. The perpetual bread is to remain on the table. They are to spread on these things a scarlet cloth, cover them with a covering of fine leather, and insert the poles. They are to take the blue cloth and cover the menorah for the light, its lamp, its tongs, its trays, and the jars used to add oil to it. They are to wrap it and all its accessories in fine leather. Place them on a carrying frame. On the gold altar, they are to spread a blue cloth, covered with a covering of fine leather, and insert its blue pole. So they're going to be responsible for making sure everything is covered properly before anybody comes to do any kind of carrying. As we go forth and complete our session for today, he says they are to take all the utensils they were used when serving in the sanctuary and put them cover them with a blue cloth, cover them with fine leather, and place them on carrying frames. After removing the greasy ashes from the altar, they are to spread a purple cloth over it and place on it all the utensils required for their altar service, the fire pans. So in other words, they're going to take the altar, put all of these utensils they use to cut up the animals and do all of that on the altar and then cover everything up. But when Aaron and his sons have finished covering the holy furnishings and all the holy utensils, when the camp is about to move forward, then the descendants of Kahat are to come and carry them. But they are not to touch the holy things so that they won't die. These things are the responsibility of the descendants of Kahat in the tent of meeting. Eleazar, the son of Aharon, the priest, is to be responsible for the oil for the light, the fragrant incense, the continuing grain offering, and the anointing oil. He is to be in charge of the entire tabernacle and everything in it, including the sanctuary and its furnishings. Jehovah said to Moshe and to Aharon, do not cut off the clan Kahat from among the Levites. Rather, do this for them so that they will live and not die when they approach the especially holy things. Aharon and his sons are to go in. You are to assign each one of his tasks. But the descendants of Kahat are not to go in and look at the holy things as they are being covered. If they do, they will die. So we see then, as we complete this, we see then the order that Jehovah had given for the children of Israel as they were getting ready to move, how they were to take the tabernacle down. How they were to take the tabernacle down, and how they were to, once they take the tabernacle down, how they were to cover everything, how everything had to be covered in just the way Jehovah had instructed them to do. And as they are doing these things, they have to do it exactly like this, because he said, if you don't, there will be death. People will die. And so they were given strict instructions on how to conduct themselves in the beginning to now he was going to move them towards the land. And so he was explaining to them how everything was to go. He had organized everything to show them how they are one in his eyesight. He had counted them each as one in his eyesight, each one important to him, just as he calls us his what? His very special, treasured people. And so he demonstrates once again, just like he did in the garden, just like he was doing at Mount Sinai, just as he was going to, that Yeshua will do when he returns, how important we are, how much he loves us, but how obedience is required. So the whole concept of being in the wilderness, this Bamidbar, which is much more important than the English name that was given to it by the transliteration of the Greek to call it numbers. No, it was in the wilderness. In other words, you went from the garden, this paradise. Because of your disobedience, we're going to bring you back together again. When? In the wilderness. Here, I'm going to make a covenant with you again. The same covenant I made with Adam and Eve, I'm going to make another covenant with you and call you my very special treasure. But you have to obey. And last week, as we were leaving the book of Vayikra or Leviticus, as we were leaving that book, he began to explain once again, this is what happens with obedience, and this is what happens with disobedience. And all these things are so important. Yet and still, because we haven't been taught properly, then we don't even go back and study these books that are part of the Torah, the first 5 books. So we don't really understand all that's being unfolded to us in the Brit Hadasha or the New Testament by Yeshua. All that he was talking to us, all that Shaul, this great theologian who then breaks down things simple so that even the Gentiles can begin to understand. But all of that was done so that they would go back and study Torah. So you go back and study Torah so you will understand what is going on in the rest of the scriptures, culminated with the arrival of Yeshua, his redemptive plan for us once again. And Yeshua says, if you love me, keep my command. Do what I'm telling you. And if you do that, I have a place prepared just for you based on your obedience. So we don't even understand all these things because we were not taught properly the importance of Torah study. So I want to thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to come together again next week, but it won't be on Friday. So Friday I'll be traveling. I'm going to go to California for my grandson's graduation, and I'll be traveling Friday, coming back to Georgia. And so I don't know how that's going to work. So we'll come together again on Saturday night for our Torah study next week, which will be lesson 35 Naso. So we're going to see all of these things, but I really wanted us to understand the importance of the name Bamidbar, or in the wilderness, so that we won't just be hung up on numbers, even though they are important. If they weren't, they wouldn't be in the book. So those numbers are important. We're going to see the importance as we go through this book of Bamidbar. We're going to see how important that is, but we want to illustrate the importance of understanding the concepts that are going to evolve in this book. So with that, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I want you to face one another by pushing your hands toward the screen, and the priestly blessing from Numbers chapter 6, verses 24 through 26. May Jehovah bless you and keep you. May Jehovah make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May Jehovah lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. And with that, thank you all so much for joining me. I will see you next week at our regular time, but on a different day. It'll be on Saturday. With that, I say shalom until we come together again. Shalom.